This is the Magic Experience. Your hostess, sexual alchemist Michelle Torrance. This is a delicious conversation on sexual alchemy, body reconnection, and conscious communication. We'll get witchy, sexy, and magical, connecting with each other on a deep, intimate basis, learning, healing, and rising into the human experience we deserve, our magic experience. So grab some cannabis, sit by the pool, and let's chat. Hello, and welcome back to the show. This episode is an oracle card pull for the full moon in Leo that we are experiencing this weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and pull an oracle card for the full moon, and let's just sit back and discuss a little bit on how you can use this full moon energy in your world based off of your moon sign, right? I think so many of us are really fully aware of our sun sign, and we know what our sun sign is, right? When someone says, "What's your sign?" You're like, "Oh, I'm a Scorpio," right? Or "I'm a Leo," or "I'm a Virgo," or whatever the fuck you may be, right? For me, I'm a Scorpio sun. And then there's my rising sign, right? We go into our rising sign, which we'll do a whole nother episode when we go into a new moon, right? We'll do a new moon oracle card and talk about rising signs and how our rising sign, we can utilize that to set intentions, manifestations, and creations. And so on a full moon, which we'll get to in a second, the difference of the two, and I'll explain a little bit of the full moon. If you're new to full moon and moon rituals, I've been doing moon rituals for quite a few years now, and interesting enough, my husband has always been attached and connected to the moon, and he's always been up at night and always naturally surfing, he calls it, with the wave of the full moon. Excuse me. But anywho, so back to the full moon, we are going to pull an oracle card, and we'll go through each zodiac, each sign of the zodiac, and depending on what your moon sign is, you can utilize your moon sign and the full moon energy for amazing transmutation, healing, and expansion. So first of all, let's break everything down. What is your moon sign? What the heck is a moon sign? Well, you can go online. There's all sorts of different apps you can go on to. I think Astrology Cafe and just all sorts of different websites. You can just Google what's my moon sign, right? And it'll pull up a little test, and you'll fill in your date of birth, the time, the location, and then you'll plug that information in, and then it'll tell you what your sun sign, your moon sign, your rising sign is. And sometimes they'll give you what your 10th house is, which we'll go into 10th house as we dig into the astrology wheel and in other episodes, which we'll get into. Those will be fun episodes that we'll do. I'm not an astrologist per se, but the work that I do does have a lot of astrological connections and ties, and I work with the signs, and we incorporate all of it. We incorporate astrology, astronomy, psychology, sociology, magic, and multiple different types of perspectives of rituals that align with you and who you are and your experience here in this world, right? So let's stop here for a moment. Rituals that I do, things that I experience and that I choose to do, my perspectives, my psychological thought processes, my behavior processes, my patterns, everything that we have as a human in this world is our own individual experience, right? We are living our own human life experience. So any rituals and things that I talk about, I encourage you to try and see. But the whole point is, to see if it works for you. And if you tweak it here, change something here, that's the creative magic passion that goes into this, right? That's how you are flowing and, or as my husband calls it, surfing your own wave, right? So this is used for fun. This is a way for you to tap into your own energy, right? Everything I talk about is always an encouragement. You're never going to hear me say, you need to do this because I don't know what you need. You know what you need, but I do know what could possibly help certain aspects of your life experience. So I encourage you to try things, right? And we're always telling our kids, you got to at least try. Right? We're always telling our kids everything that we are supposed to be doing. And what the fuck are we doing, right? So let's just try. So let's have fun with it. Personality test, fun fact, I'm a sapphire, blue, sapphire, whatever. If y'all know personality test, gemstone test, gem test, there's so many out there, right? I'm a generator by human design. But I'm a sapphire, and sapphires like to create fun and create games out of everything. So I create games out of everything. I find the fun in everything I do, including the work that I may not want to do, right? And that's how I'm helping my own kids, like try and look at the perspective. We get to choose our perspective on everything. We get to choose our perspective on everything. That is the gift of free will that we have. And so I keep digressing. Let's get back to the full moon, right? So our moon sign. So finding out what your moon sign is. So our sun sign is kind of what the outer world kind of sees of us, right? It's kind of this perspective of what the sun shines outward, right? We look at the sun. So what shines outward is what our sun sign is. Our rising sign is really what describes the basis of who you are. So a lot of people are confused on that, I think. And while our sun sign, and this is in Western astrology, there's different types of astrology out there, and I do a lot of moonology because I am around the divine feminine, and it's all about cycles and sexual alchemy, the Empress. So moonology is what I do a lot of studies on. But it incorporates all of it. But so our moon sign is all about our emotions, right? The moon representing the feminine aspect representing our emotions, the darker side of ourself, right? So this oracle card that I'm going to pull and I'm going to read, I'm pulling it from the Amenti Oracle Feather Heart Deck and Guidebook. It's Ancient Wisdom for the Modern World. This deck is absolutely beautiful. And the messages in it are just so eloquently put, and I want to read it to you, and then we can share about how your moon sign, what your moon sign is, how you can utilize the magic of your moon sign and utilize the magic of this full moon in Leo, this super moon, right? And how you can create, you can expand, you can heal, you can rise, you can express, right? So let's dive into it. We've got the full moon and the new moon. The full moon's all about expansion, right? The moon cycle starts with the new moon, and it's 29.55 days, and you start with the new moon. And just like every cycle, right? There's 13 moon cycles in a year. There's 13 menstrual cycles in a year. We are very, very, very connected to the moon. Of course, our energies and our emotions are affected by the moon because we are also 72% water. And by being 70% water, the moon affects the tides, and we are part of that tide, right? So not only are we the ocean, but we are the wave. Right, that's why you're surfing, right? Find the wave that feels right, right? Just like surfers do. They don't go out to every fucking wave and try and hit every fucking wave, right? They feel it. They become one with the ocean. They are the ocean. And then they know when it's their wave, right? That's why you're never going to miss anything that's yours. Just a little side note there, right? You can never miss anything that's yours because intuitively you already know what is yours and you're already doing it energetically, So listen to that. That's where we listen to our intuition, right? I'm going to take a sip of coffee here. It is Saturday morning here. I'm plugging this up tonight. I'm going to do a stretch. Stretch with me. That one felt good. I love stretches. So, we have a full moon in Leo. Let's talk about Leo real quick, right? The Leo. Everybody loves a Leo. We always hear this, right? Everybody loves a Leo. That's because Leo is always up front and center. Anytime you have a lead in a play, anytime you have somebody in a new training class, and I'm not saying this too because my friend D Nice is a Leo. And she is all about having everything done, being everything, knowing exactly what's going on, and being about it, being all a part of it, right? I fucking love her so much, right? Leos are fiery. They are loud. They are out there. They are front and center. They are the most, I want to say, I keep hearing the word magnanimous, right? Every time I watch Ever After. And she's like, oh, you're too magnanimous, right? When she's talking to the queen, right? Because magnanimous, then I had to search up the word and understand the definition because that's what I do because I'm a word nerd. But so it's like extremely grand and extremely giving and extremely powerful and just this, the way it sounds, magnanimous, right? So Leos are very bright, very front and center. Not every sign likes to be front and center. So with this being a supermoon, which is a supermoon meaning that it's close to the earth, so it's very large. It's going to be larger than what it would normally be and how we would normally see it. So it's a supermoon, which correlates with Leo, of course. Leo being large and in charge, right? Front and center. Look at me. So this is going to be a very magnetic full moon. All right. Very fiery, very, this is an opportunity for you to get out of your comfort zone. Okay. So, I just looked down as I was recording and it hit 777 right as I looked down, which is just a confirmation to me, right? That I'm moving in the right direction. We're all moving in the right direction, and that this full moon is an opportunity for us to be able to really get out of our comfort zone and allow ourselves to shine. See, that's what Leos are so good at, is they allow themselves to shine. And this is the light side of Leo. There's the shadow side of Leos, which will be called out if you have been bypassing any sort of work that needs to be healed, or you have been bypassing aspects of your shadow that need and are desiring to be integrated, right? Both your whole core and these pieces of your core that are thrown about, which you've heard me talk about before, desiring to be. So there's always a light and a shadow to everything. Our shadow is not a bad thing. Our shadow is part of us. Our shadow gives us the balance and the opportunity to express the light, right? I'm about to record another episode after this and I'll get into that. But, the word light worker, it's an interesting title. And again, I'll get into this other episode that I'm going to record. But the whole point of this is realizing that we are in a world of polarities, as above, so below, as within, so without, yin yang, right? And so this full moon in Leo is an opportunity for us to be able to utilize the energy that supports us in our moon sign, our emotional energetic state, our emotional frequencies, and how we can utilize that to get uncomfortable and come into the light, become front and center into our worlds, right? So let's go ahead and get started. First, Let's take a hit. So today, what are we smoking? We are smoking cherry pie. Why do we smoke cherry pie in the daytime? Because cherry pie has the benefits to help with focus, helps with energy, helps with awareness. It gives the opportunity for those who have the human experience of what society would call ADD. This helps with focus. And it helps with uplifting. So those who may be having a bit of, let's say you're going through a growth and there's some deep moments that you're going through, and you've got to focus during the day for some things, and you are kind of at this dull feeling. Cherry pie is an opportunity that can help support and uplift, while not giving you this extreme THC head high. It is a bit more on the higher THC side than the CBD side. However, it is balanced out based on the fact that it is a hybrid. So it's more of an indica hybrid with a higher THC. So I prefer those because it helps with the balance of everything. It's a balance. All right, you hear us? We're shuffling the cards. I could talk about cannabis and the amazing healing and opportunities it provides. And yes, you can still use cannabis as a bypass. You can use anything as a bypass. So learning how to utilize cannabis in a way that supports the human experience that you are choosing to live. It's just like anything else, learning how to do it. I love these cards. They feel amazing. The artwork on the cover of the cards are beautiful. The artwork on the cards themselves are absolutely gorgeous. The colors are amazing. The texture and the consistency of the cards is beautiful. The packaging is beautiful. The little box and everything that it comes, like, just everything is absolutely beautiful. So let's go ahead. We are pulling the card together for this full moon in Leo, and we are going to here we are. Oh, and it's so funny, I knew it was going to be this card. This is the card I just turned around when I was describing the deck to you, and I was like, I love this card so much. Here we go. I consume only my fair share. I consume only my fair share. So this has a book that gives you opportunities. It explains the book, introduction, all of these things. And so it tells you, obviously it gives you a number for what it is. So you've got to go through and look to find the number. So this is number 10. I consume only my fair share. So I'm going to just read this, and then we're going to go ahead and break down how you can utilize this based off of your moon sign to expand this full moon. I consume only my fair share. The Egyptian creator god Atum, I'm probably going to mispronounce some things, so please understand that there's no intention of that. Like, it's just me reading and learning how to pronounce certain things myself, and I know that I am not the best at everything. So, the Egyptian creator god Atum was born of the great sea of Nu, the son of the primeval waters of chaos. He was a sun alone in darkness. Atum named himself Ra, a label for the creator of creation. A single sphere of light with the only infinite night as his companion, Ra desired more, and thus the Egyptian pantheon of gods and goddesses, or Netters, arose. Chaos ensued from creation, from desire to dynasty, dynasty to history, history to mythology. From the one came many songs. Excuse me. Creation is bred from both desire and necessity, and in looking at the Egyptian creation myth and what inspired the Godhead to create life forms of life force, we see desire gave way for the Creator to create, perhaps out of loneliness, but also from necessity. Consumption is a byproduct of a creative universe. We create what consumes us, and we consume what we create. Loneliness consumes love in order to satiate a hunger for understanding and connection. The night sky consumes the sun in order for the stars to shine, much as the sun consumes the night in order for life to grow. Creation was consumed with the notion of life as a way to understand itself, yet life is fleeting and eventually returns to its source. The modern world lends itself to a dimming of the light of creation as advertisements play to automatons in a wakeless sleep. Yet wakefulness occurs when we rekindle our desires and remember what gave way to the ignition of the pulse of the world. Past, present, and future desires are a prism containing the infinite poetry of the same great stories. But satisfaction comes not by what we consume, exhaust, or destroy, but from what our relationship to our desires can illuminate. In looking at the lesson, I consume only my fair share, we must ask if we are consuming or consumed by, feeds creation or nourishes destruction, and if we are overindulging by feeding the ego instead of nourishing the soul. Consumption encompasses more than food. It carries over to metaphorical mana, the nourishment of the spirit that permeates all living beings. The scales of truth are balanced when the weight of your share intends to satisfy a pure desire instead of devour the density of darkness. When your desires glow from a space in the heart, that light is shared and felt by all. Growth in consciousness doesn't depend on the will of the intellect or its possibilities, but on the intensity of the inner urge. So what does this mean? There's a lot of words, right? It was, like I said, it's so beautifully written, and sometimes I read through them a lot. So if you've got to go back and listen to that again, definitely do that. But what does it mean? I consume only my fair share. So let's look at where we are in the world today, right? There is so much of overconsumption that we are losing the ignited fire of our desires to create, right? So where's the balance in that? That's what I'm seeing, right? And here I am, I'm looking at this card, and of course I'll put a picture of it on my social medias. So make sure you're following me on my social medias. But I'm looking at this card, and there is this balance that must happen. There's a balance to create and a balance to consume, right? And so here we are in a world right now where there is a lot more of overconsumption versus creation. And, you know, you hear me talk a lot about this as well. A lot of pendulum swings, right? And as a human civilization, as a species, as a world of polarities, we're going to constantly be swinging on this pendulum. It looks like, you know, the dragon boat ride, the pirate ride at fairs. You know what I'm saying? And so we're swinging on this pendulum here. And right now we're in a state where there's so much overconsumption, right? That there's not even creative creations. It's a lot of regurgitation, right? We see this in movies, we see this in music, and what's happening, and where we can shift this is by really allowing ourselves to consume, but the balance of stopping the consumption and redirecting our energy and our focus into our creations and how we can expand and express the creations that we have in our desires, right? Our desires are what lead us. Those are our steps. Our desires are our Blue's Clues. Okay, so our higher self, the experience that we desire to embody is already embodying that experience, right? We're just catching up to this in this space and time. And so those intuitive hits, those ings, those Blue's Clues, those desires, those are all little hits from your higher self who's already embodying the experience that you want to embody. And it's giving you this roadmap. And that's why it's so important to listen to your intuition. And sometimes we can't hear or feel our intuition because we're over consuming, right? So finding that balance. So in this full moon, where can you utilize, or how can you utilize your moon sign and the energy of your moon sign to find balance in creation and consumption with this full moon? What can you release, right, that you are holding on to, that is holding up and consuming your energy, where it's not allowing you to create and release, right? We release our creations. We don't it's not that people are coming to us for the creations. We put our energy and our love and our heart and our passion and all of these wonderful things into our creations. And when we release our creations into the world with no expectations or attachments to any outcome, but the fact of just releasing this creation because it felt good and because we know that it could help somebody else feel good. And when we do that, then others feel the creation, and then they're attracted to the creation because it's calling to them, because that creation has a frequency that is connected to something within them that wants to be healed and then integrated back into their core frequency. That's why it's so important for you to be in your true authentic self, because your true authenticity will allow you to create the things, the experiences, the energies, the frequencies that call to others. And then others find your creations and they're like, oh my gosh, this creation helped me be able to shift the consumption of energy that is being taken from me and to redirect it back into the frequencies of creation. Right? Oh my God. Let's just take a hit. That just kind of turned me on there for a second. It was a great channel. I started to think there for a second in the middle, and I had to stop thinking and just allow it to flow. The sun is coming out, shining through the trees. It's such a glorious, beautiful day today. So what is your moon sign? Let's go through the zodiacs, right? Let's go through all the zodiacs. So let's just go ahead and start with Leo. Since we're starting with, it's a full moon in Leo, let's go ahead and just start with Leo and we'll go from there. So first one, Leo, we've talked a little bit already about what Leo represents, especially if your sun sign is Leo, right? So a lot of people see you, you shine through, and people see you in this expanse of a very open, very upfront, very loud, very energetic, very fiery, because you are a fire sign, right? So how can you utilize, if your moon sign is Leo, then typically your emotions are very fiery. You're very upfront with them. You're very, and this is again the light and the shadow side, right? So the shadow side of Leo is that you hold on to all of your emotions, right? So if your moon sign is Leo, how can you utilize this energy? You can go ahead and you can find the balance of where you are allowing your emotional self to heal and to fly, right? Heal and be, not fly, I guess, maybe more of express, right? Heal or express. When we heal, we tend to go more internal. I just saw the hermit inside of my head, right? So when we heal, we go internal. And when we express, we go external. Leos are typically more of your external feelings, right? So you're very more externally on that. But finding the balance, right? Where is there healing that needs to come in? Where are you consuming energy that is disproportionate to the healing and expression of your emotional state? Okay. That's for Leos. And these are questions you can write down, journal on them, meditate on them, right? Expand on them yourself. Maybe you start with this particular question and then another question comes in your mind. Follow that. Remember, these intuitive thoughts, these intuitive feelings, these are not random things. These are your Blue's Clues. These are the clues to your map, to the different treasures that you get to experience, right? Because it's not just one end, right? It's never just, you don't just reach your goal, right? That's just not, and then it's over, right? Every single experience that you are having is a treasure. And so there's larger treasures, there's making games out of treasures, there's all sorts of stuff that's going on with that. And so how can you, Leo moon signs, How can you find the balance in healing and expressing? So let's go to, sorry, hold on. I'm trying to go. Let's go ahead and go to Virgo, because let's understand this. Understand this for sure. Virgo is going to be felt in this full moon because it's on the cusp of Virgo. Okay. So Virgo is an earth sign, right? I've got a Virgo moon myself. So not only is this full moon going to be expansive in a way where you're going to be able to release and become front and center and find what that front and center means for you in your world, but it's also going to be grounded with this desire for meticulous list making. It's almost like I just saw the Page of Pentacles, because the Page of Pentacles is really kind of like the one that plans everything, right? So Leos don't really plan for a lot of their stuff, especially Leo moons. Your emotions tend to come outbreak, especially being a fire sign. But Virgo aspects, Virgo frequencies on the outer side of this, on the moving forward side of this, is going to allow us to ground this energy in, right? I feel like I'm starting to like ramble a bit. Maybe it's just me, but let's get back. So anyways, so we go on to Virgo, right? So if you are a Virgo moon, what is this Leo full moon going to do? As a Virgo, Virgo moons, we're very meticulous about our emotions, right? And we also get into routines and patterns, which is also a Scorpio thing. But we get into routines and patterns with our emotional healing. So like, for me, example, right? In my emotional connections and my morning rituals and stuff like that, I can tend to get into a stuck routine. And so then I'll need to kind of shift things up. So how can I utilize this full moon in Leo, as a Virgo moon, to shift some things in my morning ritual and in my emotional healing and connection, right? And I've already started to naturally start to do that. My intuitive self has started to shift as to what I do daily, there's still some main things that I check in on daily, right? First of all, the date, the day, the numerological number for the day, what day I am on my cycle, where Luna is, and where the planets are, right? It's just a natural thing. Those are all the things that every single morning, I look at where I'm at and what's going on. And then I look at how I'm feeling and how do I want to feel and how I choose to feel that day. Right? So those are all the basic things and the main things that I do every morning. But after that, instead of doing a specific reading or something like that, or I'm changing things up. So Virgo moons, how can you utilize this Leo full moon? You can release this need, this desire to continue to keep doing the same thing over and over again, because sometimes when we get into that thing, then we feel like we're having FOMO. We're going to miss out on something if we don't do it, right? Because for me, sometimes I see that picture, where the diamond miner is almost there, but it's a little different feeling, because Virgo moons can tend to, and Virgos themselves can tend to get addicted to the pattern. So how can you tap into Leo energy, right? Where Leos are more carefree, Leos are more freestyle. So Virgo moons, how can you utilize this full moon energy to become a bit more freestyle in your emotional healing? How can you allow your emotions to become front and center in your world, the ones that you've been bypassing, to become front and center in your world so you can face them and connect with them in all their glory? Create a different relationship and then transmute, heal, and rise, right? So That's for Virgo moons. Let's go ahead and go to Libras. Libra moons. Now, we all know Libras are the romantics of the zodiacs. They are also the scales, so representing balance. So this is really kind of a wonderful thing, consuming my fair share, right? Consuming fair share creation and consuming a balance of everything. Libras are already balancing. But here's the thing about Libras. Libras will hide their true emotions because they're afraid of upsetting and disappointing other people. So your Libra moon, if you are a Libra moon, how can you utilize the Leo full moon and the balance of creation and consumption, right, for your emotional growth? Well, what you can do as the balance, as the scales, is you can allow your scales to get a little imbalanced with your emotions and feel the fury of them, right? Leos, again, are a fire sign. This is going to be a very fiery full moon. There's going to be a lot of upfront energy. There's going to be a lot, I'm sure teachers or parents out there with young kids, you're going to see your kids have a lot of fiery, full front and center passionate emotions coming through because, again, we're connected to the moon. So Libras, this is your opportunity to get a little out of balance. Allow your one side of your scale to come through and feel the fiery emotion of it instead of balancing it out consistently. Allow that fire to rise up. Allow yourself to fuel. So Libra moons, allow yourself, utilize this balance of consumption and creation to consume this fire and let this fire consume you for a little bit. It's okay to feel the rage. I just saw Lady Rage pop in my head, but it's okay, right? Kali comes through too, right? And we're feeling Kali in the collective as women, right? We've been feeling her for a while. But she comes out in spurts, and especially in a fiery full moon, right? So Libra moons, allow yourself to feel that fury. Allow those emotions to come up front and center and feel them, because when you allow yourself to feel them, then you can transmute them. But when we don't allow ourselves to feel the fury that we need to feel, then we are bypassing what needs to be moved through. And then we stay in this consistent pattern of bypassing the fury. It's okay to be angry. And this is not just for Libra moons, but this is for everybody. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel that rage. There is sacred rage that is rising through us as a collective. And it's okay. It's okay. So let's move on. Libra moons, you got a lot of fun that's about to happen. So Scorpio moons. Okay, so first of all, Scorpios, we all know, is a water sign, and our moon is watery anyways, right? So because the moon herself, her sign is Cancer. She rules Cancer. Cancer rules her. So Scorpio moons. Scorpios, we know, are very intense, right? There's always those means, and we'll get into sun astrology and the different signs and just the basics of that as well. I'll do another episode if you'd like that. Just let me know if you want one of those like that. But Scorpio moons, very intense, right? You're already a watery sign, so your emotions are very intense as a Scorpio moon, and you hold a lot of grudges. And it's not something that you want to. It's something that's been ingrained, not only based off of the frequency of that intense moon and emotion, but it's something that I've noticed a lot with Scorpio moons, and definitely chime in if you're a Scorpio moon and give some experiences. Come join the conversation with us over on social media. But it's very challenging to be able to heal an emotional scar as a Scorpio moon, and it can be sometimes a bit too intense to transmute that, because the shadow can seem so dark. You know, our shadow selves, the shadows that the pieces that we've cast away from our core self, these are the shadow aspects that are trying to be integrated back into our frequency, right? And as we, sometimes those shadows, they're light or gray, sometimes they're a darker gray, sometimes they're this thick black. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the toxic ooze. That's not toxic. It's just a very intense shadow, a very intense pain, a very intense trauma. And so for Scorpio moons, this is an opportunity for you to find the balance and calling in and turning on the flame within yourself, letting the fire go, and allow these shadows to be seen within your fiery light. They want to be seen, and you want to see them to be able to integrate them. This is the opportunity for you to consume light within yourself to integrate the shadow aspects that are part of the healing that will support the rising into the frequency that you want to live. Does that make sense? Okay, let's move on. Sagittarius moons. That's so funny. I'm a Scorpio sun. My husband's a Sagittarius sun. But it's fun. So Sagittarius moon, Sagittarius is a fire, right? So we already have a fiery moon. Now we have another fiery emotional moon sign, right? So double fire. There's going to be a lot of passion. There's going to be a lot of fire. There's going to be a lot of desires, a lot of flames, a lot of energy in your emotions. There's going to be so much happening. And sometimes Sagittarius moons, there's going to be that feeling of running, right? Because we want to run from our emotions. Typically, Sagittarius is like to adventure and keep running and moving anyways. So in our emotional side of this, we want to keep growing and burning. We want to run from our emotions, which is then allowing we consume other things and bypass the emotions. And so we go up front and center, right? And so allowing this Leo full moon, the balancing of everything, right? The consumption and creation. How can you redirect that flame and energy towards the emotions that you have been bypassing? How can, instead of running away from it, redirect back, right? Flip a bitch, make a U-turn and go right back towards and facing those emotions, right? It's going to be tough. There's going to be parts of you that won't want to do it and you'll want to keep running away from it. But Sagittarius moons, this is an opportunity for you to be able to clear out the fucking brush, right? You're clearing it out. You're starting anew. You're fire. It's all going to be new. We already know, right? When after a fire happens, right? After it's calmed down and there's things, the new growth, the soil underneath, it's all part of that is regenerated and there's so much life that's happening. So by this destruction and by you turning the flame and facing these emotions that you have been afraid to bring front and center, Leo full moon, you've been consuming instead of allowing yourself to consume these emotions that have been holding you back to then allow yourself to create. Okay? So face it. Capricorn moons. My husband's a Capricorn rising. It's very interesting. I love it. I love Capricorns. I say this all the time. I love the energy of Capricorn. Why do I love the energy of Capricorn? Because the energy of Capricorn itself is a very grounded. I see like this is hilarious. I see like a really sturdy Bob Ross house cabin, like in the trees, right, in Alaska. But then I see the fucking, what show is that? Jeremiah Joan. Oh, but you know you see the gift too, but it's like with that energy of like, you know, seriousness and reality, quote unquote, right? So Capricorn moons, sometimes it can be a bit much for you to express your emotions. And this Leo full moon in Leo gives you an opportunity to allow you to fully express your emotions 100% safe. You are safe. You are grounded and you are secure to express these emotions, because that's what Capricorns desire in general. They desire the safety, the secure, the Four of Wands, the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Cups. This is the strong, secure, the Emperor aspect of things, right? The King of Pentacles mixed with the King of Cups, right? If you're not into tarot, we'll talk about that in other groups and stuff like that. If you are, you understand a little bit more of what I'm saying there. But It's that energy. So Capricorns have usually had a tough time expressing your emotions, your Capricorn moons, right? You want to keep them grounded. You want to keep yourself level. This is an opportunity for you to tap into that full moon and allow yourself to wild and free and bring those emotions up front. And that could be from sexual emotions, whether you have kept yourself sexually condensed, right? That's what I want to say. And this is an opportunity for you to express it fully, right? Dance, allow those desires to just fully express themselves, knowing that you are safe and grounded, right? Knowing that you can still burn front and center and be emotionally fluid and still grounded and secure at the same time. Aquarius. Okay, so maybe I'm just aging myself there, but Aquarius moons. This is my husband. He is an Aquarius moon. First of all, Aquariuses, y'all are the weirdest ones anyways, quote unquote. Weird, right? Aquarius is really the deep thought processor. This is the thinker. This is the ones that's really going to think outside the box, right? So Aquarian moons are very, very deep, very, very philosophical on their emotions, very, very, even though Aquarius is their air, right? They're the air sign. So it's a very logical, emotion, very logical on the emotions, right? So with the full moon in Leo, with this front and center fire and air, right? The air is going to stir about and fuel that flame. Oxygen fuels the flame. So for those Aquarian moons, this is an opportunity for you to light that flame, right? And you tend to do more creation than consuming. A lot of Aquarian moons will go inward. I do see the hermit a lot, that comes up a lot when I talk about Aquarius and Aquarian moons. But this is an opportunity for you to go out and consume a bit and allow others to consume parts of you. And that is part of the creation aspect, right? When we are creating, we're putting parts of ourselves into our creations. And although humans are really attracted to the creation itself, the energy of the creation, they're also attracted to us because there's part of our imprint of our frequency in that creation, right? And so this is an opportunity for you, Aquarius moons, to create and be front and center and fuel that and blow and fuel that blow. That that was back in my Coke days. Fuel that fire, right? Allow yourself to be up front and center and allow others to consume parts of you. And those who consume parts of you are those who respect and honor and support and love the boundaries of who you are. Okay? So recognize that. Pay attention. Your intuition already knows. You already know. So let's talk about Pisces. Pisces, that's my rising sign. So I'm a Scorpio sun, Virgo moon, Pisces rising, if you've put that all together now. But Pisces moons, Pisces are the most psychic, the most mystic, and you're also water, right? Pisces being a water sign. So water and fire. Water will usually put out a fire. So a lot of Pisces moons don't really connect well with Leo energy and moons. It's not a bad thing. It's just the energies and the frequencies just tend not to align very well, or it tends to clash because the Pisces moon wants to go internal while the Leo moon wants to go external, right? And sometimes that just doesn't align. And so learning how to communicate really is how you can work through that. So Pisces moon, how can you utilize this full moon energy, right? Instead of consuming your own energy, Pisces moon, this is an opportunity for you to expand, for you to lighten up a bit. Right? Pisces can be very intense, maybe not as intense as Scorpios, but their intensity is still very on the shadow side of things, right? A lot of shadow work, a lot of internal mystical things, a lot of just emotional, energetic connections, right? A lot of voyances, right? Whether you're clairvoyant, clairaudient, all your clairs, right? So, this is an opportunity for you to allow yourself to lighten up a bit in your emotional aspect. Allowing that lightening up a little bit gives you a different perspective. And Pisces, you guys, you know, you love different perspectives. Being a Pisces rising myself, I love different perspectives. So, a different perspective on your emotional state is something that you guys crave, anyways. So, allowing yourself to lighten up a bit, let this full moon lighten you up, right? How can you have fun? How can you have fun with your emotional state, right? I'd love to hear that, Pisces. So after Pisces, we come to Aries. Now we've got a double moon. Now Aries moons, first of all, Aries suns have they tend to hold back on allowing the emotions to be expressed. But Aries moons are very fiery, and so they come in spurts. And so with Leo full moon, we've got this double fire. So this is an opportunity for Aries moons for y'all to find the consistency flow. And it's not this consistently spewing emotions, because what happens is with Aries moons, they can tend to hold in everything, right? That's the shadow part of it. And then they blow up. And then it's like a volcano of their emotions, right? So Aries moons, how can you utilize this full moon in Leo, this lightening up? How can you allow your emotions to be balanced out and find the balance instead of consuming yourself internally and then exploding? How can you allow yourself to put that emotional energy into a creation? Because Aries love to create. Aries always love to create. You're always doing that. So how can you put that into your emotional state? How can you redirect that energy instead of consuming your own self and then blowing up? How can you redirect your emotional state to create, right? Whether that's coloring a picture, whether that's creating something, woodworking, I don't know, I'm just throwing shit at you, right? So let's move on to Taurus, and then we got Gemini and Cancer. My laptop is almost dead. Let's fix that. Through the magic of radio, it's fixed. Okay, so we go to Taurus, right? Taurus moons. First of all, Taurus is earth sign. Taurus is really more the sensual energy, right? That is really the most sensual sign of the zodiac. And so Taurus moons, your emotions are very sensual. Your emotions are very thick. It's almost like I don't want to say quicksand, but it's like the consistency of like a mud. Sometimes it's very challenging for you to express your emotions because the water and the ground and the earth kind of mix up into creating this muddy effect where it's not clear for you. And that's okay. This is an opportunity for you to utilize this Leo full moon with creation and consumption and the balance of that. This is an opportunity for you to allow some fire to rip through, to dry up some of that stuff, and to allow yourself to just be. Don't overthink about it. Don't the Taurus is the bull, and sometimes it's like if you don't get it, then it's like you get so irritated and frustrated, and then you just are stubborn and you just want to keep going at it. So Leos are one of the, kind of like a Sagittarius, but Leos are very fun to carefree energy, right? So Taurus emotions, Taurus moons, utilizing the energy of the carefree aspect of this Leo full moon to find the balance and allow yourself to consume some of that fire. Allow yourself to consume some fun energy, some fun emotions within yourself. Don't be so rigid. Right? It's the rigidity that can happen in the Taurus moons, and allowing this Leo full moon energy to come through and spark up this flame and burn some things around and light this fire within will give you a renewed sense of opportunity and clarity on how to express your emotions. Gemini moons. Now, Gemini is the air sign, right? And Gemini is the twins. This is the polar aspect. This is basically the really like the manifested, that's a word, the manifested aspect of the polarities that we live in. And so if you're a Gemini moon, sometimes your emotions can be very overthought. You can think and think and think and think and think about your emotions, and you'll consistently think about your emotions, and then you'll try to categorize your emotions, right? You'll try to put them in pros and cons lists, right? Almost like Libra energy. But with the Gemini, it's really, you look into the deeper aspect of things, of that emotions. But sometimes it's just a consistent back and forth and overthinking it as well. A lot of the air signs that are in our moon signs overthink our emotions. A lot of the earth signs in their moon signs tend to get stuck in emotions and trying to understand it. And a lot of fiery signs in our moon signs can tend to explode and be rapid about our emotions. Okay, so as a Gemini, seeing both sides, as being the twins, you automatically look at both sides. So this is an opportunity for you to let some fire come through, slow your wind and air process with it, and allow yourself to feel the energy of both sides of emotions, right? A lot of Geminis will hold things in and then talk about it and blow it out. My sun is an Aries moon, so it makes sense that he would volcano, right? So this is an opportunity for you Gemini moons to be able to allow this fire to burn within yourself without overthinking about how the fiery emotion is going to affect you. Just allow it to be for a bit, right? Okay, and here we go. We are at Cancer. Cancer, she is the natural sign of Luna anyways. So by Luna being Cancer, water in the full moon of Leo, in this fiery state, water and fire sometimes don't mix. Cancer is the most emotional sign, right? So if you have a Cancer moon, then you're really one of the more emotional about your emotions. So you cry a lot more at commercials on TV, like if it's an animal and I do this even as a Virgo moon, but you're just a lot more emotionally emotional. And sometimes you can put out the flame and you can consume your creative flame with too much emotion. And it's not a bad thing, but it's learning how to balance that. And by utilizing this oracle card, I consume only my fair share. Find the balance in consuming your flame and allowing the tide to recede, right? Allow your ocean to fall back a bit, to give the opportunity for the creation to happen, and then allowing it to create even more spaces and curves and cracks for your emotional depth to flow through. Does that make sense? So this is an hour-long podcast, you guys. I wanted to say I'm sorry, but I'm not. I had fun recording this, and I hope that this helped in any sort of way. If it did, definitely come find me over on social media. Come follow me over on Instagram at sexual.alchemist. That's at sexual.alchemist. You can come find me on Facebook, Michelle Torrance, the Sexual Alchemist, Michelle Torrance, the Sexual Alchemist. And I'm growing my Instagram, so let's go over there and head over there and follow me there. And if you did like this and it resonated with you, I'd love to find out how. So come connect, come chat. Share, subscribe, like, follow, all of those things. And I wish you a wonderful full moon. For ritual, I encourage, whether you are releasing, whether you are letting go, I encourage you to just listen to yourself and surf the wave. All right, y'all. I'll catch you on the next one. Later.